on with Coach Daryl Fimple and the Mouth Brent Bender. Guys, let's get into it. Before we do, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors, Lindsay and Associate, All-American Steakhouse in Springdale, and the Pigs brand. Appreciate these guys' partnership with us to make this thing happen. Let's go ahead and get into it, recap a little bit. Daryl, what did you learn? That 3A thing's all twisted up now, isn't it?
Well, when everybody's undefeated and then they play each other, it gets a little cloudy there. Watched all the games. Thank God for YouTube. It was awesome. The Seminoles and the Colts was a classic game. Unreal. By the way, the most impressive thing besides the athletes on the field was the blow up. The Osceola blow up, it's the daggum Indian. He's there the whole game too. Osceola they don't deflate him. They just leave him up for intimidation purposes. That was phenomenal. Then Mansfield actually out Boonville,
Yeah.
Which was something to be seen. And then Bismarck and Prescott was a just old fashioned lawn chair surrounded. You could see the nacho cheese being just slopped on everything over there. The younger Keithley boy put on a show. Quite frankly, I thought he was the best player on the field that night. He did some amazing things, and that's saying something because the Prater kid's for real from Prescott. Dwayne White's a heck of a player. That's going to be something that's amazing. And of course, it broke an 18-game losing streak to the Curly Wolves. Bismarck has established themselves as a program to be dealt with from here on out, it looks like.
Well, and one thing,
a backup quarterback too.
I know.
And we had like a backup quarterback come in.
What's impressive is, you're talking about established programs in Boonville, and you're talking about Prescott and these guys coming in and winning it and doing it in a great fashion. Unbelievable. Got a Coach Overton over at Mansfield done a phenomenal job. Those guys have been unbelievable. Mouth, what did you take away from this past weekend?
I learned this week that on senior night, it didn't bother Bentonville one iota. They kept on rolling. I learned that their offensive line is dominant, and they just did what they had to do. They just won the game in a convincing fashion against a team that was really playing outstanding football coming into this week.
Yeah, and they were. Rogers was, obviously. What's your other thoughts? I think you were talking off there a little bit about Conway and Pulaski Academy. What was your thoughts on that game?
My thoughts on that game, it was the first time in 25 years that PA was held to 12 points or less.
Unbelievable.
That's just an unbelievable stat right there. I believe that was back in the George W. Bush era, the last time they were held below 12 points. Conway, just a dominant defensive performance. Coach Pankey does Coach Pankey things.
That's amazing in that part of it. And I'm with you in those two games. I mean, Bentonville, coming off an emotional win against Fayetteville and having to refocus in on Rogers, who's got a phenomenal football team. And then Conway, hey, man, they went down to PA in a hostile environment and took care of business. Lots of penalties. Hey, Mom watched it. She was texting me during the game. She's upset with officials. Too many penalties during that game. Well, I'm going to say this to recap. Two things that really stood out for me, and let's kind of talk about a little bit. No doubt is the the Farmington Morrilton game. Unbelievable. I mean, 78-75, Daryl. I mean, it was going on forever, and it was 78-75 in regulation.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there was no overtime. I don't even know where you start with that. Quarterback from Morrilton had 700 yards of offense, 11 touchdowns. I mean, that's somebody's season.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an amazing game to watch. I think both defenses, they really struggled with playing the ball in the air is what the problem was. And then to end it all, the Aiden Lester makes a big-time play at the end, a little Johnny Manziel action. He breaks one for about 40 yards with 40 seconds left to take control of the game. It was quite honestly the biggest shootout maybe in the history of Arkansas. I mean, that's 153 points in a football game.
I think
I turned it over there and I thought, are they playing hoops? Somebody really good at hoops too.
Well, I think it's the third highest scoring game, trying to get in the history of Arkansas combined points, but I'm trying to find out if the other one was overtime. I don't think so. I think it was PA and Little Rock Christian was like 80-56 or something crazy. I tell you, the other thing I took back is our coaches out there, are getting football teams ready to go, but personal things in life. I mean, we go head coach at Mountain Home, Coach Harris is had a stint put in, missed the game. Coach Hobbs has been going through stuff. I know Coach Lockridge. A lot of things off the field this week and the last couple of weeks, and these coaches are just fighting through, still putting 18-hour days in. But life.
What's amazing about that is that it shows you how good their staffs are too.
Yeah,
those guys are behind the scenes doing a lot of work that they don't get a lot of credit for and whatever. Of course, it helps when you're winning too, because you've hired the right people. But having people that can run your program while you're gone is pretty phenomenal. The other thing that stuck me this week too. In the Osceola Rivercrest game, we have got to figure out on both sides of the football bigger armbands. We had trouble reading our armbands, both teams. And we had like 4 delay of games because we're all out there trying to read the little print, man. We found to put too much on our kids this week. Yeah, armbands, though. We got to get some bigger armbands.
Well, let's jump right into it. Let's go ahead and let's hit that top 6, Daryl. Small school top 6.
Man, you want to talk about some shaking going on here. There's
got to be movement here, remember?
Yeah, you got to win to stay in, remember. Here's the funny thing is we're going to have some new fans. I mean, those old 3 guys, we're going to have some new fans here. But don't forget about those guys that got beat this week because they're still going to be around. Fordyce is going to be on the outside looking in. They're one of our alsos. I'll tell you, a big win down in Murfreesboro, beating Junction City this week. The Rattlers are back. Giving up about 6 points a game, baby. Brady Moran is running back. He's off to a great start. Little Rock Mills is another one on the outside looking in. I just don't know about their conference. Bless their heart. They're kind of cursed with the Parkview curse of who's in their conference. Coach, we'll talk about that. Coach Moody's son, Elijah's already got 981 yards, almost over 1,000 yards already in the conference season. They beat Hall last week. Rising, who we're going to talk about later on, is the outside looking in. And then the 3 that dropped out. We lost Boonville. Like I said, I think Mansfield out Boonville this week. Prescott dropped a tough one to Bismarck at Bismarck. And then, of course, Rivercrest lost at Osceola this week. What a great job Osceola's defensive coordinator, our guy, Coach Gray, did by putting about, the back 4 on Buddha. He had 4 people on him the whole night. And so it was pretty important there. I thought Osceola's game plan defensively was pretty phenomenal. Of course, my guys at Rivercrest tell you there's some questionable flags. All right. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it out there. I mean, that's what happens when you lose. Yeah, you got to blame something. But that's a game that we're going to look forward to seeing down the few. And all 3 of those guys lost on the road.
Yeah.
Mansfield was at home, Bismarck was at home, and of course Osceola was at home. So number 6 been sneaking around too. It's about playoff time. You can smell it in the air here. Here comes the Warren Lumberjacks coming in back up in number 6, baby. Back in. Big win last week over.
Yeah, by the way, he said he wanted to stay underneath the radar, but it was 35-0 in the second quarter. So he thought he wanted to let you know he did have a stake.
Yeah, and then he hung 52 on him. Yeah, he's really stayed secretive there. They beat Stuttgart last week 52-0, get back in our top 6, getting healthy, getting smarter, getting a lot better defensively, especially in the front 4. Number 5's Carlisle. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on too. They had a big win over Bearden, 55-8. Ty Tankersley, the quarterback, we're going to have he is off to a great start. But let me tell you, he's got some guys to throw it to. And like we always say, it's not your daddy's Carlisle. All right, we're going to score a ton of points. They're averaging about 50, especially conference play. Number 4, going to be Mansfield.
He's in there, man.
Coach Overton's got these guys rolling. If he brings up another kid with the name Burton, it's going to be amazing. I mean, I don't know if the whole town's named Burton or whatever, but all those guys can play. Moved up the freshman Jeremiah Burton, who actually stopped him on a fake punt. He actually got to stop. Moved up from the freshman team. They just said, "Hey, this is a big game. We got to move this guy up."
Bring him on, man. Bring him on.
Well, first of all, his name's Burton, so we got to play him somewhere. They're getting all kinds of contributions down there at Mansfield. Like I said, their offensive line, I mean, it was hats off. I mean, they out Boonville. Number 3, Bismarck.
There we go.
Keithley found a way to do it, overcame 18 games they've dropped to Prescott. That guy's built something special there. It helps having two kids that are pretty good. One of them's hurt right now, but I thought his son, his youngest one, Cademan, was by quite possibly the most explosive player on that field, which is saying something because Prescott's got some explosive people. He rushed for over 160 yards on 24 carries and 3 touchdowns. Had the winning touchdown at the end. Of course, they were playing him deep safety most of the night, too, both ways. So they found a way to win and beat Prescott. So they're going to slide into 3. Number 2, I'm a believer. I'm a believer a little bit here. The Osceola Seminoles. Osceola, keep the blow up, buddy. It's the most intimidating thing I've ever seen in my life. Giant Seminole down there in the end zone. I mean, God bless America. I mean, we don't let it out when we come out either. I mean, we're coming out and smoking the whole 9 yards. Jaden Young was spectacular. Not Young. Jaden James, the tailback there at Osceola. I tell you what, Osceola was so good, just straight guard center. We're just going to pound you up in there. And Osceola, Rivercrest really didn't have an answer for it. And then they would get you wide on the outside, but their defense kept them in that game. Rivercrest came in averaging almost 47 points a game. So Osceola's defense definitely stepped up. Our number 1 is going to stay our number 1 because they keep winning. 148-0 over Green Forest this week. Elkins, the Elks just keep doing it many different ways. They can throw it, they can run it, and they are really good on defense. I think that's their 5th shutout, maybe.
Yeah.
They're averaging almost 52 points a game too. They're explosive. They're ready to be challenged by somebody in that league, and I don't see anybody being able to do it right now.
A very dominant performance by Elkins. Elkins looks like they're head and shoulders above everybody right now. But that Osceola, and you brought him up earlier, Butch Gray, defense coordinator over there, big difference maker. But one of the top defense coordinators in the state. All right, let's move on to your big school.
Big school. We got Alsos in the big school. How about Joe T. Robinson coming in as also 7-1, 5-0? They made a statement against Searcy. Hey, we're the big dogs on the block. They won 49-14 over Searcy. Nick Abrams, Deuce Williams. Deuce Williams had 7 carries for 95 yards. Abrams, first play of the game, by the way, goes 62 yards for a touchdown. So they're kind of explosive there at Robinson, playing really good defense. Coach Scola, he's a winner. Valley View is also on the outside looking in, 51-0 over Greene County Tech. Got great quarterback play. Shiloh Christian sneaking around.
Yes,
they don't want us. They don't want us to plug them up too much. They want us to keep sneaking around is what I keep hearing from. But Shiloh, Griffin Mason, still one of the leading rushers in state Arkansas, over 1,200 yards, over 19 touchdowns. Kind of held him out this past week a little bit. Got a little banged up. So they put in Mad Max Eldridge, the little freshman. He's a lightning bolt in the bottle. Had a spectacular run, had a 17-yard touchdown for him this past week. Fayetteville's going to be on our outside looking in. I think Fayetteville's still capable with the big win over Springdale, 35-21. Garrett Odom, 19-33 for 283 yards, 4 touchdowns. Lakeside is the outside looking in. They could make some noise this week's big for them. Lakeside's coming off a 63-3 win. Grady Oldman, Wally Walcott. We'll talk about those guys later. Farmington, I like to call them the Air Raid Cardinals.
Yes, sir.
Bombs away. I don't know what Coach Tice is doing. He was the first guy to really come up with a scheme of 4 wideouts. That kind of exploded on him there. Aiden Lester, of course, is just he's Johnny Manziel. He's the equivalent of that in high school football in Arkansas. Number 6, here we go. We're going to start our rankings right here at Big School. Benton, 42-0 over Catholic. Going to slide into 6th spot. Drew Davis is phenomenal. Luther Tucker's finding his way. Carson Collett had the first play of the game there. He had a 62-yard run. He's phenomenal too. They got 2 wideouts. They don't even play offense that long because they score so fast. So their defense is out there all night long. So for them to throw a shutout against Catholic is pretty amazing. Bentonville is going to slide in number 5.
About time, man. What else we got to do, man?
You got to win. You got to win. That's what you got to do. Your 5th win in a row. They go 5-0 now in the West. They're rocking and rolling. I think they've settled their quarterback issues and they've turned around. And I think Coach Grant said this week they were going to run the football, and he didn't even know how many times Finkel had it. Well, Finkel carried it 29 times. And we moved some people around. Coach Grant always adds on to the weapons there. They put our wide receiver in the backfield, direct snapped it. I think he broke one for 51 yards. So, he's always adding wrinkles offensively there. 56-34 against a good Rodgers team, especially offensively. They've got probably one of the best quarterbacks, say Arkansas, wide receivers there at Rodgers. So they're going to slide into number 5. Those people are going to be happy with us.
Well, it's I got on the internet and kind of voiced my opinion this week about that.
Yeah. That's all right, man. It's all right. You just got to win. You just got to keep winning.
Win, guys. It's
Yeah. Number 4, play with a backup quarterback who's not a bad one. Start probably anywhere else. Conway, Arkansas is going to come in at number 4 after their 32-12 victory over PA. Third time in 20 seasons that PA was held to under 20 points. They were scratching their head all night long. I think Conway's defense is getting better as we go on here, especially against the pass. And I thought offensively they showed that they could maintain drives and hold on the ball and score. So they had a big, huge win. Number 3 is our Parkview Patriots, 42-7 over Magnolia this past week, 7-1, 4-0. Got a big game this week.
Yes, sir.
All right, which I'm sure Coach Bonas is so happy that he can actually get these guys fired up and maybe have to play them all 4 quarters. That'll be something of significance there. Our Patriots are rolling there, averaging almost 50 points a game, doing it in all kinds of different ways. Number 2 is going to be Greenwood still. 63-14 over Van Buren this week. Kane Archer was 13 of 17 for 307 yards, carried it 3 times for 31 yards and a touchdown. He accumulated 6 touchdowns on the night. Champ Davis had 2 catches, which equaled 2 touchdowns for 91 yards. So he averaged about 45 yards a touch. Champ did. Of course, the usual contest there. Defensively, Greenwood's getting better too, by the way, especially on the back end. They're always playing in front, so their passing defense is getting way, way better. Bryant holds on to our number 1 spot after a 56-6 victory over Cabot. Jordan Walker threw 6 touchdowns. Caleb Tucker caught 3 of them. Our guy Carter Ratliff caught 2 touchdowns and also picked up an offer from North Alabama, I heard.
Wow. Hey, that's a good week, man.
That's a good week for that guy. North Alabama, that's the only one's got any sense. Come on, guys.
Coach Dearman over there, man. Coach Dearman's figuring it out.
You gotta go after that guy. So Bryant maintains our number 1 spot.
Well, let's change gears here. We've been talking about this guy for all year long. Let's get into our player of the week.
Player of the week is going to be Tyle Tankersley. He was 14 of 21 this week for 301 yards and 6 touchdowns. He threw 2 to Caden Klingman, and he threw 3 to Gavin Davis. He's got Carlisle off to an amazing start here, 8-0 in our top 6 right here. He's averaging 47 points on offense. All right, but here's another guy. All right, Ty is our player of the week, deservingly so, had a phenomenal week. But Boonville, if you go back and watch the Boonville-Mansfield game at the 2:23 mark, you're going to see our guy, right guard, James Bosley. All right, James Bosley's number 68. He's 5'11", 285 pounds, and he just crushed the dreams and hopes of the entire left side of Boonville defensively. I mean, he was phenomenal down there at the stretch, game-winning touchdown. We ran a little Delaware inside T there, the little inside handoff. We followed 68, and he was burying people. He pancaked 3 people on the play. This is an amazing play by an offensive lineman, which we're going to keep up with from here on out, too.
That's right.
But Tyle Tankersley is our player of the week. He's going to get to see the mouth this week.
See the mouth this week. Carlisle, they've been rolling. Tankersley's been unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and bring in our Lindsay and associated guest picker, Coach Michael Carter, former head coach at Little Rock Christian and Conway Christian, Little Rock Episcopal. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Well, I know you watched the show and you got a lot of insights on this, and I'm going to tell you, like I tell everybody comes in here, pick with your brain, not your heart. You will lose friends on the way. It's okay. It's all about winning the competition here a little bit.
I understand.
Well, let's do this before we get in our top 10 picks. Last week, everybody went 6-4. I was 6-4. The Mouth was 6-4. Fimp was 6-4, and our guest Ty Richardson was 6-4. I'm overall 63 and 28. Mouth is 62 and 29. And Daryl, you are 58 and 33. and our guest speakers 57-34. So moving right along here, let's don't waste any time. I tell you what, there's a lot of good games outside of our top 10 this week. Harding at Wynn, Gravett at Elkin, Smack over at Prescott. The Mark Tree Cross County game ought to be unbelievable. DeWitt at Hamburg, and then Conway at or Little Rock Christian Conway. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's head down to South Arkansas. This is the 73rd straight meeting of these teams, and this is one of the biggest rivals in the state of Arkansas. We got Rising and Coach Vereen coming in his first year, doing a phenomenal job, headed over to Fordyce. I mean, there'll be everybody there on that road. Lawn chairs everywhere. Daryl, what's your thoughts on this one?
You know what I think about this one? This is what we call get your boxes ready, because a coach could lose their job over here. I mean, the coach that's in charge of special teams or something, he get fired over this game right here. This is serious lawn chair weather right here. I mean, we were packing the joint. I imagine there'll be a huge pep rally for this one on both sides. Imagine there might just be a city one. Let's just meet down here at City Hall and let's just have a big, huge pep rally on this one. 73rd meeting. It's got to be one of the longest rivalries by far, I would think. Golly, it's a 100 years.
It's a top 3 in the state of all time.
Yeah,
I mean,
easily. Rising 8-0, 5-0 in conference play. Fordyce 8-0, 5-0 in conference play. I mean, what else do you want here? I mean, this is awesome. I mean, they ought to move this game like somewhere else. No, they don't. No, they don't. Fordyce says, no, we don't. No, we don't. Fordyce coming off a big win last week against Dumas, 48-0 to make this a huge game. Rising's coming off a 42-12 win over Lake Village. Rising offensively was averaging almost 38 points a game, giving up 10 in the conference play a game. Fordyce, on the other hand, is averaging 47 points a game. I'll tell you why here in just a second. There's just one name you got to know on this one. Defensively, they're giving up in conference play. You ready for this? The Red Bucks giving up 5.4 points a game. Yeah, let's throw a safety in there somewhere. Keelan Ellison last week caught 2 touch guy. He's a freshman quarterback too down there at Fordyce. You know that? His name's Cadillac. Cadillac Ellison, baby. Tell me about the NIL deal my guys got right there. Right there. Cadillac's going to come out. He's going to have him. He's going to be ready to spin it, baby. He's going to be ready to rock and roll this thing right here. So I'm taking Fordyce at home. Fordyce at home. Fordyce. 73rd annual review right here.
Unbelievable.
He's going to
spin it all down, man. That's beautiful. Matt, what's your thoughts?
This will be an outstanding game. They probably don't even need to have school Friday because everybody's going to be concentrating on the big game. I can promise you, if I was in school, I wouldn't be there because I had to get my mind right for this one. I tell you, I'm just going to have to go with the Cadillac and Fordyce. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes, Fordyce, Red Bugs.
Well, Michael, you've probably been to a few of these stadiums, played a few of these teams. What's your thoughts? And you understand this rival probably as good as anybody.
Yes, sir. This is going to be a great matchup. As mentioned, Coach Vereen's come in and he's done a great job at Rising and got them right back where they are predominantly always are at the top of the conference list, right there with Fordyce. But going into Fordyce, I've been there, played there. It's hard to come out of there with a victory. And so I think the Red Bugs are going to take Rising this Friday night.
Coach Carter is going to take Fordyce. I'm going to take Fordyce. I think Coach Rogers has got it going on over there. I think they're a big-time team in their division. And Coach Vereen, he'll have them ready. There's no doubt.
Remember what we talked about, too, earlier. All right? We've had all these rival games, and you're going on the road. You know, they went 0 for 3 last week.
Yeah. Ain't no doubt.
That'll change us a little bit here.
Yes, no doubt. Well, let's head over to Western Arkansas. We got Booneville, who just come off a loss against Mansfield at Charleston. These two teams have dominated that conference. New sheriff in town now with Mansfield. This is a huge game for both teams. You'll get in that 2 seed. Daryl, I mean, the whole key is Booneville let Mansfield beat them 2 weeks in a row.
That's huge. It's huge, too. You know, Booneville had a 44-year run against Mansfield, by the way. That came to the end. Last time Mansfield beat them was 1980.
Good
Coach
job.
Elmore was like, what, 10? How old was Elmore? Elmore had to be like 10.
He's probably First
By the
grade.
way, that was the coolest state. That's a cool stadium too, Mansfield.
Yeah, we got a great
It's
place.
got a little dome. Got a little Henderson State feel to it there. Yeah, they're playing down in there. Boonville 7-1, 4-1. Lost last week 34-22. Chase Washburn's their quarterback's been leading them there. The Warren kids, tailback, had 14 carries last week against Mansfield for 145 yards. They just, I tell you what, Mansfield defensively did a really good job. They got them behind the chains. Washburn did throw 2 touchdown passes to Noah Harrell last week against Mansfield, but just couldn't stay on the field. And then defensively, they couldn't stop them. I mean, they got outside of them quite a bit. Charleston comes in a little bit different team here. They're 5-3, but they're 4-1 in League Two, so they're playing for second in this league right here. They beat Cedarville last week, 36-6. Carter Little is their quarterback. He threw 3 touchdown passes last week and rushed for over 100 yards. Charleston's is at home.
Yes.
I think Doc's going to have some attention, though, this week over there at Boonville. That's what I'm thinking. It might even started the day. But I think Boonville's going to win this one. They're going to go to Charleston and win this one.
You talk about, what did you say, 44 years or whatever?
44 years.
Good gosh.
Last time Mansfield won was 1980.
Man, I bet they're here.
I was 5. I was 5 years old.
Good Lord. All right, Mouth.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go with Coach Doc, and the Boonville's going to bounce, but they're mad this week. They're real mad. I'd hate to be at their practices this week because they're going to get physical during the week, and it's just going to carry over to Friday night.
Don't carry over Friday night, so you're taking the Bearcats. Know these 2 teams, Coach Carter, again, you're familiar and followed this for a long time, and 2 historic programs going to Charleston, always a tough place to play. Boonville coming off a very, disappointing loss, 44 years they had lost that team.
Right.
Wow. How do you get you've been in this position. How do you get your teams bounce back?
I think the tradition and the way that Boonville carries themselves, they'll be upset with themselves. And I think internally the players, just the tradition they have, will get themselves back to where they need to be. Of course, Coach Crawley is going to do a great job getting them there too as well. But just the tradition, I think, is just going to come to the forefront this week in practice, the leadership that they have. And I think, I've been to Charleston as well. It's another tough place to go and come out with a victory. But I do think Boonville bounces back this week and gets a victory over Charleston.
All right, Coach Carter likes Boonville. I like Boonville too. I'm kind of with the Mouth. I think we'll kind of get back to what we're the basics and getting physical, and they're still going to make a long run. I like the Bearcats also. All right, headed up to Northwest Arkansas. It's a team we hadn't talked a lot about. It's a huge game here. Got Gentry, who's had a great football season so far, headed over to Prairie Grove. This position here, I'm just me outside looking in here, is probably for the 3rd and 4th slot in that conference. Darryl,
well, you got thoughts? Gentry. They're led really by a guy named Bennett Roberts. Bennett is their leading rusher and tackler. He has 102 carries for 768 yards, 15 touchdowns. Bennett also has 75 tackles. He's one of the leading tacklers in the state of Arkansas. Prairie Grove is they're kind of up and down. There's days I'm going, hey, yeah, well, they're going to pay, but I'm going to go with Gentry in this one. I'm a Pioneer fan this week. I think they can run the ball. They're going to have to go on the road. Of course, it's not a very far drive. This is another game there. The kids are going to know each other. Families are going to know each other. I think it means a little bit something else here. And I think Gentry understands that 3 seed's a lot different than that 4 seed.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that 4 seed.
No,
so I'm going to take Gentry on the road here.
Gentry on the road. All right, Mouth.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Yes, it is.
Because as Darryl said, Prairie Grove's been like the temperature here the last week in the state of Arkansas, up and down all around. But I'm going to go with Prairie Grove at home.
Prairie Grove, Mouth's going Prairie Grove with a little tradition there. All right, Coach Carter, this is a tough one here, man.
It is a tough one. Looking at it, you're right. Prairie Grove's kind of been up and down. Gentry's having a great year. But I do think Gentry's going to go into Prairie Grove and come away with a victory this week.
Carter's going with Gentry. Gentry's been playing without their quarterback. Think he might get back this week. I do. I think Gentry's been more consistent. I like their offensive defensive line. I like the way that's progressed. They've progressed all year long. I'm gonna go with Gentry also. All right, golly, man, we got this one here. Jeez, and you're close to this, Coach Carter. We'll get in the middle of this. I got Morrilton, who scored 75 points last week, lost at Bologna, who kind of squeaked by last week also. Daryl,
21-0.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, come back.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about this one. I mean, because
Morrilton can flat score the football. I mean, they are really good offensively. Lost to Farmington 78-75. Yes, it was not a misprint. Barry Maddox, their quarterback, threw for 746 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Jeez almighty.
That's somebody's career. I mean, I'm talking about somebody's pretty, yeah. So Barry, he's going to make a jump in the standings there, statistically speaking. But the bad thing is they gave up 78 and lost. I mean, that's scarring. Bologna, on the other hand, like I said, they got down 21-0 last week. Actually it was 21-7. Came back, Skylar Cole, 161 yards and a touchdown for Bologna, finding ways to win. Bologna is at home. That's another big, huge thing on this one. Morrilton, do you think how big, like you said, does Farmington beat them twice?
Yeah.
I mean, even though that you think you can score, Morrilton's averaging almost 55, 50, 60 before this. I mean, so golly, they're averaging a ton of points. I'm going to take Morrilton on the road to get this one. I'm picking the McNabbs. First time.
First time all year,
and
man.
If he doesn't score 70, I'm never picking him again.
All right, Matt, you're close to both these pros. You've been to their practice, all that kind of deal. You've been to Bologna this year. You've been overseeing Coach McNabb. This is going to be a classic.
This is going to be one for the ages right here, and I really appreciate you really putting me in a bad spot with this game, Coach Williams. Because you know I'm close to both.
I tell you who's in a bad spot, Mouth. It's Buck Bean, the defensive coordinator over at Bologna.
Exactly.
That's the guy you don't want to talk to this week. I can tell you that. Buck is up all night long. He's just like, if they score again, if they shoot fireworks, if they brought fireworks with them, just think of what would happen.
Coach Bean's not sleeping. He started not sleeping Friday night.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm gonna have as good a job as they're doing at Bologna, Coach Ashcraft. I got to go with the fighting McNabbs here. They're coming off scoring 70 points. Coach Bing is trying to figure out how can I keep them below 50.
That's a truth.
How can I keep them below 50?
That is the truth.
So you're going
Morrilton.
You're going Morrilton. All right. Carter, you're close to this, man. You can go west, you're right down the road, and you can go east, you're right down the road from each one of these. Talk to us about this. You coached at Bologna for a little while, so you know all about this game.
I did. This is this was one of the hardest ones to pick. Looking at the list that you sent out, this is going to be a great game. Coach Ashcraft's done a great job of getting Bologna back in the middle of things, and but watching that Morrilton game last week against Farmington, they're just offensively they're such a powerhouse and got athletes all over the field. And then the quarterback, of course, throws for a seasoned career. 700 and whatever yards is unbelievable in one game, 11 touchdowns. I think as good a job as Bologna's doing, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Morrilton. And so I'm going to take the Devil Dogs to going into Bologna.
Going with the Devil Dogs. And I'm going to go feed off what Michael just said there. I think that, outside wise receivers and things like that is going to be very difficult for Bologna. I'm taking the Devil Dogs also. I think Coach McNabb will get them back up. He's a great coach, and Coach Ashcraft will have a plan for them. It ought to be a great one. All right, heading to Central Arkansas right here. I think this is a big game. You got Maumelle at Searcy. Searcy just was dominated last week by Robinson, who is dominating everybody in that conference. Maumell's been up and down a little bit, got a great defensive line, just hadn't been consistent. I think it's a huge game, especially for Searcy, because they've got BB next week. They could hit a 2 seed here all the way down to 4. Huge game for the new line offense. Talk to us, Daryl.
Well, Maumelle had a great defensive performance through a shutout against Whitehall, 55-0. I know Coach Moppin was pretty happy about that. They've got some skill guys too. The Henry kid. They've got a lot of weapons on the outside. They just hadn't been able to stick it all together. They are traveling to Searcy, and like you said, Searcy has got to lick their wounds a little bit and get back in this thing. They dropped one to Joe T last week, 49-14. But I'm telling you, Joe T is by far the class of that conference. So that's not a knock on Searcy at all. Johnny Bell's still their quarterback there. They can run it with Goodwrench and the Love kid. I think that Searcy has to, just to be honest with you, I think Searcy probably needs this more than Maumelle just on the playoff matchups and to show that they're going to stick around. So I'm going to take Searcy at home.
Going with the new line offense. Searcy.
I'm going to go with Searcy at home.
All right, Mouth, you live right there. You talk to Coach Clark every week. Talk to us about this one, because this is a huge game for Searcy, big game for Maumelle, but I'm with Daryl. I think it's bigger for Searcy.
Searcy is coming off a game with Robinson that wasn't good for Searcy.
No.
I believe that Searcy's getting healthier this week. They looked like the walking mash unit last week going into Robinson. I'm just going to tell you. Coach Clark, he doesn't like getting whooped like he did last week. I think that I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going with the Searcy Lions. I got to.
Going with the Searcy Lions, Mouse staying with the home team. Like, we're shocked with that anyway. But you actually thought about it a little bit. I could see it right there. All right, Carter, Maumelle, up and down. Searcy, you keep up with it. And, Coach Clark, it's a big game for Searcy. It's huge.
It is. I agree with what you guys are saying. I do think it means a little bit more for Searcy. And they've done a great job. Of course, Maumelle's done a great job as well. But I do think I think Searcy's going to pull this one out at home.
Searcy's going to pull this one out. I've broken this down. Maumelle's defensive line's unbelievable, and I think it might be the best. Brian, but one of the top 2 or 3 in the state. I feel this guy Mouth hit. I think Searcy's getting some guys back. I think we're refocused a little bit. We know how the magnitude of this game is and the rest of the way through. I'm going to take the new line offense, and I expect the new line offense to play well this week. So I'm going with Searcy also. All right, let's go here. This was over to the 6A East. We got Marion, who we hadn't talked a lot about, just kept on winning. Looks like, they're going to probably finish first or probably second in that league. Never know with how that's going to fall out, but they're one of the top teams in 6A. Headed over to Catholic. Catholic got drummed last week by a very good Benton team. It was their first loss, and they're starting to really get in the thick of their competition. Daryl, Marion's looked good, got probably the best lineman in the state of Arkansas. Everybody talked to the guy, just dominates. So talk to us a little bit about this one.
And that's the funny thing is that they run probably 95% of their offense behind the guy. And Jalen Smith, their tailback, has 118 yards, over 936 yards rushing, over 17 touchdowns on the year. They beat Sheridan last week, 42-21. The Catholic took it on the chin, like you said, to Benton this week, 42-0. Just really couldn't get anything going offensively. And then, like I said, Benton just scores so fast that you're back out there quite often. So your defense gets pretty much wore out. They got a good quarterback in Jackson, England. They got some veteran players. Catholic is playing at home. I think Marion, this is huge for them. I think that they got to show that they can go on the road and win a game here to stay in the conference race. So I'm going to take Marion over Catholic.
Taking Marion. Simp's taking Marion. Mouth, this looks probably for a 2 or 3 slot here in the 6A East possible. You really like the big lineman at Marion, but talk to us about this one.
Well, they're playing at Catholic. War Memorial's a tough place to play. Marion's coming a long ways to step on the turf at War Memorial Stadium. Catholic's coming off a beat down by Benton. With all that being said, I am going with Marion.
Going with Marion, yeah, just big up front. Carter,
Yeah.
go ahead, Carter. This one right here is in. Catholic schedule started off undefeated. Had a scare with Sheridan 2 weeks ago, dominated by Benton. Marion's just kind of been doing the work a little bit. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, two very good teams.
Yeah, well coached.
Well coached teams, and I think in the end, I think Marion's going to be a little bit too much for Catholic, and I think Marion wins this game.
Carter's got Marion. I don't think there's any question about this. I think Marion's got the better football team, even though, and I don't know if it's senior night there at Catholic. You don't like playing Catholic on senior night. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's like they get an out of body experience and they play really at a high level over there.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Marion in this one. All right, headed over the 6A West. This is a very interesting game. Looking at this last week, it's going to be a huge game. Lake.
Remember we said Mountain Home, it's a long trip. Boy, was
yeah, boy, they really cared about that, didn't they?
Yeah.
You got Lake Hamilton at Shiloh. Lake Hamilton, I got home once to YouTube, even told Coach Gillerin, and he don't know what football team showed up out there Friday night either. Mountain Home just dominated them. It was unbelievable. At Shiloh, and I think this is in Shiloh's coming off a big win at Siloam, and they've been to Mountain Home and got some created some wins there. I can't figure out I think this is a good matchup though. If you kind of look at, how both of them match up, very interesting game. Looks like probably, if Lake Hamilton could get a win here, kind of screw everything up from that 2 to 3 to 4 slot. But, then Shiloh's just eyeballing that 2 slot, trying to get away from Greenwood, obviously.
Well, yeah. You look at this Lake Hamilton, there's some nights they look extremely dominant, and there's other nights they don't look very dominant. Hayden Barton, there's leading rusher with over 1,000 yards on 135 carries, 15 touchdowns. I think Coach Gillner said that he kind of lost their identity a little bit in the Mountain Home game. I think they got down to the goal line, tried to throw it instead of pounding it in there. Mountain Home was extremely fired up. What a great job their staff did this past week. They had some kids out too. Showed a lot of what do we say? In the coaching word, moxie. They showed some moxie. Yeah. Mountain Home was full of moxie this past week. Shiloh Christian, like I said, is so good on the offensive defensive line. They find enough weapons offensively. They can still throw it when they want to. Griffin Mason, of course, I think he's the second leading rusher in the state of Arkansas with 190 carries for over 1,200 yards of touchdowns. Like I said, they've got the speed back too that they've added to the weapons offensively. And like you said, I think they understand the importance of getting opposite of Greenwood. So I think they're playing at home too on this one. I'm going to take Shiloh on this one.
Taking Shiloh. Fimp's taking Shiloh. Mouth, have you figured out Lake Hamilton? Talk to us a little bit about this one.
Well, I didn't see that Lake Hamilton performance coming last Friday night. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. But in Lake Hamilton's situation, if you're trying to find your identity, Shiloh's the wrong team to try to find it. I'm just telling you right now. I think Shiloh will win this football game, no question.
Sounds good, like Shiloh. Carter, we're trying to figure this one out. I actually got to watch Shiloh live last week. I've seen Lake Hamilton live. I think on the hoof and everything match up. It's pretty tight, but what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Another case of, two well-coached football teams going into Shiloh, another tough place to come away with a victory. And I do think, I think Shiloh will come away with a victory over Lake Hamilton this week.
Who's going with Shiloh? I'm going to go with Shiloh also. I think Tommy will have the Wolves ready to go, though. They're not. I mean, that's just the way he operates, obviously. But I think Shiloh's too much. I think they kind of expanded in the pass game, getting the quarterback back this week. I'm going to go with the Saints also. All right, staying up here in the West, you got the Bentonville Tigers, who are on. I mean, they're about as hot as any 7A team there is right now. Big win over Rogers, back-to-back wins over Fayetteville. Rogers, they're in the driver's seat in the 7A West. Going to Springdale. Springdale it's been through some stuff. Coach Hobbs, off the field, personal things with his family, and we're praying for them, obviously, but kind of getting back and forth. But they gave Fayetteville all they wanted last week. So this will be a very interesting matchup. Obviously Bentonville's trying to stay control of that 1 seed. Springdale's looking at the 4 and hosting a home playoff game. What's your thoughts, Daryl?
Well, like Springdale, we were winning early there, and
Turned it over.
Yes, the turnovers killed us. Carson Hayter started quarterback against Fayetteville. Fayetteville beat Springdale last week 35-21. Hayter had 2 rushing touchdowns, threw a touchdown pass. So played pretty good at quarterback. It's just we had, they ran into turnovers, and you turn it over against Fayetteville, they're going to make you pay offensively because they're so explosive. Springdale 6-2, 3-2. They got Bentonville coming there at home. They're still battling for that. Anywhere from what would that be, 3rd to 4th? Well, actually, probably fourth through 6th. Which is quite an accomplishment for Springdale, considering where they have been. Bentonville's 5-3, 5 straight wins in the West. Beat Rogers last week 56-34. Chris Fickle, like we talked about, had 32 carries, 179 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter alone. So he kind of made a statement there. They had 557 yards of total offense against Rogers, 268 rushing yards, and 289 passing. Got a little balance there going at Bentonville. Trevor Grant settled in at quarterback, 16-25, 289 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Bentonville is rolling. They figured out who they are. I think they've settled the quarterback situation, and they've kind of took some stuff off that guy's platter, too, by being able to run the football so well. Their offensive line is playing really, really well. I'm going to take Bentonville on the road to beat Springdale.
Taking Bentonville on the road. Matthew, you were just up at Bentonville this past week. You're close to that Springdale program also. So it'll be an epic matchup.
Oh, this is good. Oh, this is going to be a really, really good game. Let me say this. What Coach Hobbs is doing at Springdale is absolutely phenomenal this year. Yeah. I hope that all things are getting better, whatever issues he's having with his family. I hope they're getting better, praying for him. But when you get right down to the nitty-gritty of it, there's not a team in the state that's playing better than Bentonville this will be the 6th week, I believe, after starting out 0-3. Their quarterback has really found him. Trevor Grant has really found himself. Ficklin's running the ball extremely well. Their offensive line's mashing people. So in a really good game, I'm going with Bentonville.
Going with Bentonville. All right, Carter, this is a huge matchup. Coach Hobbs has done a phenomenal job, and Coach Chick over there at Springdale bringing in the big boy, Bentonville, who's just really dominated this league over the years. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Coach Hobbs has really done a great job this year at Springdale, getting them back. And then, like you guys have said, there's probably not a hotter team in Arkansas right now than Bentonville. They're playing extremely well. I watched them live play Conway, and it wasn't their night that night. But ever since then, they've turned everything around, and they're just playing a lights-out football. So I'm going to go with Bentonville beating Springdale.
Going with Bentonville. I'm with you. I think they're just too much. But, Coach Hobbs and them, they're an upset special all the time. But in their going to get a home playoff game. Looks like everything works out the way it is. But I think Bentonville's too hot right now. They're playing well. And, Springdale's coming off back-to-back losses. So I just think Bentonville's just too much. All right. Let's head here. Our small school game of the week right here, man. I think, and we've talked about one of these teams all year long, hadn't talked about the other one, and the other one just keeps on winning. We got Salem at Mayflower. Salem, they stacked them up this year in the non-conference. They played everybody and getting ready for the long run here. Mayflower, saw them this summer, really impressed with their team also. Daryl, This is a huge, huge conference game right here. Salem at Mayflower. Let's break it down.
Salem 5-3, 4-1 in league play. They dropped the conference game to Atkins 36-40. But last week they beat Mountain View 45-0. Keegan Sanders is leading state in sacks with 11. Salem can get after you if you throw the football. Mayflower is at home.
Yep.
Making a statement game here. 7-0, 5-0 in conference play. Beat Quitman, beat Episcopal 49-12 last week. The Quitman game was a 42-13 victory. So Mayflower made a statement there early on. They're averaging about 26 points in conference play, giving up 7. Mayflower's defense is extremely stingy. Running back Devin Davis last week had 12 carries for 92 yards and 4 touchdowns. They've got 2 guys on the outside, the Pirtle kid and Knuckles, Sean Knuckles, that kind of leads them defensively. They're giving up, let me rephrase it, they're giving up 6.3 points a game in conference play. Yeah, Mayflower's playing a little defense down there, so I'm going to take Mayflower.
Oh,
I'm a big Salem fan, but yeah, I'm going to go with Mayflower. I think it might be the season of the old Mayflower.
Taking Mayflower. Mouth, you're close to you keeping up with Salem all year long, but not much on Mayflower.
Mayflower will get Lorenzo Robinson out there to make the coin. Huh? Get him back and a little coin, just a little ideal, just throwing it out there, sprinkling it out there.
Throw it out there. All right, Mouth, what's your thoughts?
This is a tough one. I've ridden Salem an awful lot this year. I've gotten on that horse an awful lot of times. But I believe Mayflower's defense is just giving up 6 points a game. I believe, and this time of year, defense wins championships. I'm going to go with Mayflower.
Golly, Mayflower. Okay. Carter, you know Mayflower as well as anybody. Obviously, you're right there by it. They've got having a phenomenal year. Salem's high pick early on in the year, played real well, had some injuries, still battling with them a little bit. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen both of these teams on tape, and they both of them are great teams. Salem's big and strong and powerful, and Mayflower is as well. They're big and strong as well, but they got some athletes as well. And I'm going to go, since Mayflower's at home, that's who I'm going with. I'm going Mayflower at home.
Mayflower at home. Well, let me break this down for you guys. Y'all completely screwed my pickup. I thought all 3 of you would take Salem. I'll just be honest with you. I didn't see y'all taking Mayflower, but I'll be honest with you. I saw Mayflower this summer, and I've been a big fan all year long. I'm going with Mayflower also. All right. Golly, man, I was looking for a little change on that right there, guys.
Well, you know what? If Salem was at home, the grass is turning there in the middle of the field. I thought I would have took them if they were playing at home, because that grass in the middle would have been a little weak for Mayflower to run on. So Salem would have had the edge there. And we're going to take Mayflower.
Everybody's taking Mayflower. All right. Big school game of the week. We've got Hot Springs Lakeside at Parkview, huge 5A South huge 5A South Conference game here. Before we do that, I'm going to bring on head coach from Lakeside, or Lindsay Associated guest, Coach Rockwell. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Well, you guys, you've had a phenomenal year, and you've got a big one. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but we've been watching you on this show from afar. You lined them up in non-conference. You're not scared to play anybody, and y'all just had a run. You had one loss against Robinson. You played some, a good Lake Hamilton team, a Sheridan team that's looking to go and play us non-conference, and obviously Camden Fairview, and your league's very tough. And you guys have, slipped up against Robinson, but you're ranked number 3, got a huge game against Parkview. Talk to me a little bit about your team's process this year.
Yeah, the first thing, it all starts in the off season, and some of this is going to sound cliche, but I just really feel that everything starts in the off season in the summer. And we started off with a really good summer, team camp 707, and then you just use that motivation, man, to keep on going. And our non-conference schedule was tough, but that was on purpose. I just wanted to see. Honestly, I really wanted to see how good or how bad we really were. Yeah. Sometimes you'd be like, hey, man, we're pretty good at this. Sometimes I'm like, man, we suck. So, we really had a good test in non-conference, and it got us ready to play Camden, and that was a big time game there.
Huge game, scoring a lot of points, playing well on defense. Really like your defense, like your offense, both sides of the ball. And you guys are a very physical football team, athletic where you need to be athletic. Talk to us. You got this big one coming up. I mean, we got Little Rock Parkview. Everybody knows, we got them ranked real high. They had one loss against the number one team of state in Bryant.
Mhm.
What do you have to do? Y'all went there last year, and we talked a little bit before coming on here. Is playing them better? What do you see on film? I know you're going to be getting more into it today, but how do you feel better going into it this year than last year?
Yeah, a little bit, just because I think we're a better team. This is year two, with our offense and our defense, a new staff. So, we've gotten a lot better and a lot used to each other, and the kids have gotten used to the terminology and the verbiage, especially on defense. We just kind of getting better and better there. But you still going against, the state champs. You're still going against the Bolden brothers, who are really great coaches, man. Either one of both of those guys are, to me, in my mind, first ballot Hall of Famers. So you still got a challenge, and they got a really good team there. We'll just have to see if it's a good matchup, like I think it would be.
Well, I think it is. I mean, we look at one thing, they're very explosive, and they kind of live off the big play, and is kind of not getting into your plan is everybody goes into it is try to make them drive the ball, and you're kind of defense guy anyway. Is that what we're looking at, and try to cut down those explosive plays?
Yeah, preliminary, yeah, just because when you watch them, they know how to coach and they know how to get their players in really good positions. But then it comes down to the player himself, and they got a couple of good ones that can, as I tell the kids, they can hit the circle button or the triangle button and go 60 to the house. So, that's definitely going to be the challenge for us on defense. Can we make them drive? Can we not give up the big play? And if we do give up the big play, what are you gonna do about it? You're gonna, lay down and cry, or you're gonna keep on fighting, and that's the thing I'm waiting to see.
Well, let's get back into it. Y'all been putting explosive numbers offensively, and then defensively, y'all been very dominant. Talk to me big picture wise, and we talked to you earlier this year a little bit, and you're sitting there ranked number 3, and I know we got here in week 9. You kind of start looking at those playoffs a little bit, and where do you see you guys fitting in the mix here?
I told the guys after we played D Queen that the playoffs start now with going into Parkview and then Hot Springs and then going into the first round. So that's one of the things that you got to think about this time of year. Of course, with all the social media and podcasts and the 50 million rankings, all the people can see what's coming up as far as the matchup with Parkview and then Hot Springs and then going into the first round versus the East. I just want my kids getting the mindset to come and practice hard. Take every game seriously, even though we got 2 regular season games left, take it like it's a playoff game, and then just go out there and give 110% effort. So,
well, Coach, and I know that, and like I said, we're big fans. I love what you've done with that football program the last 2 years. You've got your handprints all over it. Everybody I talk to about your guys, hey buddy, they're gonna play extremely hard. They're well coached. They know what to do, and you've done an amazing job. And good luck to you. And I'll get you off here because I know you got to go to work and watch a little film. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, we got to get in there and get to work, man. But appreciate you. Thank you for having me. And Halloween night it should be a good one.
That's right, folks. This is on a Thursday night. We'll bring that up on the show, and there'll be a lot of eyes in the state of Arkansas. There'll be a little trick or treat, but I bet everybody's trying to get home and watch a little bit of that game also. Well, Coach, good luck. Well, Coach, good luck to you. We'll see you down the road.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
See you, buddy. Well, Coach, he talked about this, about, they want to play them better than they did last year. We talked about making Parkview try to sustain drives. Lakeside is about as talented as there's anybody out there. And Coach Rockwell has done a phenomenal job. They're ranked number 3 in most polls, right behind Robinson. He stacks them up. They've got athletes also. And so this will be an interesting game, Thursday night game also.
Yeah, it's a Thursday night game, Lakeside. You know, that's the hard thing about playing Parkview. You got a short turnaround here.
Yeah.
They're kind of used to the Thursday night games. Lakeside 6-1, 4-0 in conference play. This is probably the biggest test for Lakeside. I think Coach Rockwell, and of course that interview we just gave Coach Rockwell, it's going to be cut up and spiced all over America there at 501 Little Rock Parkview. I mean, they'll be having that on real. He's got to be careful, guard his words right there. I mean, you give Brad anything to go with here to fire up these guys is monstrous. Lakeside, though, run back Grady Holman, over 1,200 yards rushing, 19 touchdowns. Wally Walcott, they can throw it too. He's over 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns. Ryan Ballard. The most important thing is, they got a corner. Chris Ford's got 4 interceptions on the year. It's going to really come down to what Coach Rockwell and Coach Reynolds, their defensive coordinator, can come up with, because you're going to have to – you might have to drop 8 and rush 3, or I mean, you might have heck, you might even rush 2, try to drop all of them. So there'll be some umbrella coverages here from Lakeside, because they are explosive. Parkview still explosive. I mean, just look at the names. You got Montero Elson, Cameron Settles, Marion Robinson, Jermaine Penny, Emmanuel Bunning is the backup, and now he's playing quarterback level. So you get Quentin Murphy out there on the outside. And then the linebacker that's probably the best player in the state of Arkansas, Ja'Cory Smith, for Parkview, is just – and they haven't played 4 quarters yet. So I'm sure they're eager to do that. I'm sure they're eager to make a statement. I know Brad will have them ready. This is something that he don't have to do a lot of motivation this week, because they're going to hear a lot about Lakeside as a rival and planning for this game. So I'm going to take Parkview at home, and I can't wait to see what the final score of that one will be. But I'm taking Parkview big in this one. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go big.
Big statement game.
I'm going big. I think if you throw meat out in front of a bunch of lions like this, something's going to happen.
That's a true. All right, Mal. We love Coach Rockwell and what he's done over there at the Lakeside. Of course, Brad and those guys over there at Parkview just been dominant. Mal, what do you think? Thursday night game, short week.
That's the wrong recipe playing Parkview when you got a short week.
Yeah.
Okay, that's bad scheduling by whoever scheduled that game for Thursday night. But Coach Rockwell, he'll have his team ready to play. He'll have a good plan. They've been dominant on defense this year. Lakeside, their plan to victory would have to be making Parkview drive the ball to score. Don't let Parkview get out there on offense and then 10 seconds later they're firing the cannons for a touchdown. Make Parkview be patient enough to drive the football. I don't know if they're patient enough to drive the football. But with all that being said, I still got to take Parkview.
Taking Parkview. All right, Carter, Lakeside. I mean, they're right. Coach Rockwell's ready to go. Parkview's just been dominant. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Another case of 2 well-coached football teams. Lakeside's a great team. Coach Rockwell done a great job with those guys. And all the hype around Parkview is all their athletes and how good they are. But I tell you what, if you watch them play, they're really, really good up front and on both sides of the ball as well. And I think Friday night, that's what's going to determine who's going to win this game. And I think Parkview is going to have a little bit too much for them, and Parkview is going to come away with a victory Thursday night.
I like that. Up front wise, I agree with you. They've got defense tackles. Their offensive line's really good. I'm going to say this. I think this is going to be a little closer than what people think it is. I know, Daryl, you're saying statement game. I'm going to take Parkview, obviously, because they're big favorites in that part of it. But look for Lakeside to come in here ready to play. And they've had some success with those guys in the summer and some things. But we'll see how it works out. But I'm going to take Parkview also. Well, guys, before we wrap this up and everything, Daryl, let's kind of recap what's some things you're looking for this week.
Well, the biggest game is probably going to be Lakeside Parkview.
Yeah.
That's why we picked it this week. But you're looking to see if and when Parkview gets really, really extremely motivated. This is kind of the time of the year to do that. Like I said, I think you're kind of throwing the prize out there. And then you're going to see, like, how does Mansfield play this week? Coming off a big, huge win. How does Boonville recover? Some of those guys have got games going in that, they have to show up. So, you got Boonville, Charleston. That's huge in that stack. But, yeah, this is the time of year that you're going to see some people. And like we seen last week, Bismarck, not Bismarck, but Mansfield moved up to freshman.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another freshman out there. Maybe there's a freshman that we got to move up. We got to make the move. I'm sorry, guys. You're done playing on Thursday nights. We got to move you up. So it's that time of the year. And like I said, I think in the West, you got Bentonville's got some momentum going. Conway's figured out how to play with their backup quarterback a little bit, and they're defensively, they're getting better and better, causing turnovers. And this is the starting to get cold. Hopefully it gets cold. Could be a wet ball too coming up around here somewhere. We got to hold on the ball. This is where turnovers can change the tide for like a Springdale Bentonville game. If Bentonville turns it over, Springdale gets it back and so forth. Things could happen there.
Well, you did, and you just nailed something. I think we're supposed to maybe get some rain this week, and rained all year long. Not much up here, but I know some people's had one or two, maybe one, bad weather game. Mouth, what are you looking forward to this week?
Well, our top 10 games, you just can't go wrong with them. They're 10 fantastic games. Great job picking, Coach Williams. I am looking forward to the Rise and Fordyce game.
Yeah.
That is two teams that are close together. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Cadillac comes out of the garage this week. If they're kicking on, if the spark plugs are kicking on all cylinders, I'm looking forward to see how Moulton and Bologna plays out. I'm looking forward to seeing how Moulton bounces back from giving up 75 points. 78 on defense. Excuse me. Because that's sticking in Coach McNabb's craw a little bit, giving up 78 points.
You think? Yeah.
Just a bit. Then one more game I'm looking forward to is we've already said Bentonville. I'm looking forward to seeing Shiloh and Lake Hamilton going after it with the veteran coach Tommy Gilliran coaching Lake Hamilton. He's going to have his team ready to play, and that's a great game to be watching Friday night.
No doubt. Carter, what's your thoughts here? You're getting this, I can get this playoff deal, and your guest pick. What are you looking forward to see not only this week but on down the road?
Just this week. The top 10 games, like Mouse just said, you can't go wrong on any of the games. People are probably camping out in Fordyce right now, ready for Friday night's game. They're fired up. People coming over from Rising ready to camp out and be there as well. So that's definitely an exciting game to be looking at. Marlton and Bologna, kind of want to see how Marlton comes back. You sit there and look, you score 70-something points and you lose, and how that hangover may last a little bit, or will it last? And then come back out against Bologna. So that's an interesting contest. Searcy, dropping down in classification and having success the way they are, and Maumelle coming in town with the athletes and stuff, and the D line they got, another good contest. So the winners of these have taken a huge step forward, moving on into the rest of the year. The losers are not out, but like we said a while ago, you kind of want to stay away from Greenwood in one place, and it goes all the way down through there in each conference. There's, when you're sitting there looking at the schedule, we want to try our best to stay away from this team or that team, and so all of these games have got those type of implications going into Friday night or Thursday night. So it's just a great week of football all the way around. And the weather, it's bound to get cold sometime. It's bound to rain sometime. So yeah, like was mentioned, the turnovers and things like that are going to play a big key role. And but yeah, it's just an exciting night for football this coming week.
Well, no doubt. My recap is I want to see how these guys, and everybody's kind of talked about how the Prescotts, the Boonvilles, the Mortons, and in these teams, how they bounce back after, you're talking about losing a game you hadn't lost in 44 years,
Right.
how your kids bounce back, how your staff, and not only that, how's your community backs, but they bounce back a little bit off that. But those are the things that I'm looking forward to. Well,
How
guys,
about, hey, we didn't say this though. Lakeside and Parkview is going to play on Halloween.
that's right, Halloween.
Yeah.
That's right,
man. Trick or
People-
treating's going on.
Yeah,
a little trick or treat game there.
That's right, man. Freaks come out at night, baby. You know how it goes.
Can I ask the question real quick?
Yeah.
Is the Lakeside Parkview game at War Memorial?
Yes.
Yes.
It is? Okay.
That Parkview's home. Well,
Parkview's
Parkview's home. That's at War Memorial. Let's do this. And we've missed this a couple of weeks ago. Our co-host Brady Cook, who will be back on as soon as football season's over, but he got honored a couple of weeks ago. Went into the Springdale Athletic Hall of Fame. What a great night for him, and what a great honor. What a great player. If anybody deserves it, Coach Brady Cook deserves it, and we want to put a shout out and congratulate him, no doubt, and everything. Well, Mr. Carter, Coach Carter, here we go, man. We appreciate you coming on this week. What we're going to do is send you a T-shirt and give you a $100 gift card to All American Steakhouse here in Springdale. And we appreciate you coming on.
Man, I enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me. You guys doing a great job, and looking forward to Friday Night Lights this coming week.
Well, we'll be checking your work. We'll probably put it on the internet, things like that. I mean, that's just the way we roll. Everything's public here.
Can I say one thing about
Yes,
the Hall of Famer?
Yes, sir.
Now, Coach Williams, not to rub salt in old wounds, but the Hall of Famer cost you a state championship at Southside.
And I went to the banquet. I told somebody I never thought I'd be honoring people that cost me a state championship. So that's the way it works. I'm a team player, mouth. Team player.
You're a team
bad
player.
business. Bad business model. Bad business.
Hey, you were there for him. You were a team player. You let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, he deserves. He's good, man. Good.
Yes, sir.
Great player.
Yeah, well deserved.
Everything. Well, guys, before we get off here, we got merch. You've seen it on Instagram on our story. Mouse got a hat on. I got a hat on. We got shirts, T-shirts, hoodies, everything. Get on there on YouTube. You can order those up. And I think we had a bunch of orders this past week. Also, hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube, guys. It doesn't take much time. Don't do it right now. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit those thumbs up there, and then follow us on X, on Coach's Pod, Facebook, and Instagram, and we're all over the place. Check out what we'll be putting out this week. But guys, it's been a great week. We're getting close to that playoff time, and I can't wait. It's getting close and everything. What a good show. Well, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Daryl Fimple, the mouth Brent Bender, and our guest picker, Coach Michael Carter, we'll see you next time.